haunting the room, Mr. Malosky. Thank you. All right, welcome to the regular meeting of the Bethlehem Planning Commission. I am Matt Malozzi. I'm the vice chair of the commission. Chairman Malosky is logging in, and for expediency, I will chair the meeting in his place tonight. We ask that everyone please turn off your cell phones and put them on silent at this time. We will proceed through today's projects as they are listed on the agenda. The applicant will have a chance to present their project to the commission as their agenda item is called. Following that presentation, city staff will provide an overview of the city's comments and a recommendation. Then the Planning Commission members will have an opportunity to direct questions related to the project to both the applicant and city staff. Following Planning Commission discussion, interested parties will have an opportunity to comment on or ask questions related to the project. All interested parties will be asked to give their name and address for the record. They shall also sign their name, address, and email address on the sign-in sheet provided. We will adhere to a 5-minute time limit for each member of the public, and each person will have one opportunity to speak. We ask that all comments be related to the project proposal under review and that all comments be related to the land use issues of the project. When there are a significant number of interested parties, we request that members of the public be concise in their testimony and avoid repeating previously made assertions. After all interested parties have had an opportunity to speak, the Planning Commission members will have a final opportunity to deliberate on the project. The review of the Planning Commission is based on the provisions of the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, the Zoning Ordinance, and other municipal ordinances as applicable. Decisions will be based on these applicable ordinances, the recommendation of the city's professional staff, pertinent public comment, and the public good. Now I'd like to call the first agenda item for this evening, and that is the approval of the minutes from the June 30th, 2022 meeting. Are there any comments or questions from the commissioners or city staff on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve for the approval of the minutes dated June 30th, 2022.
Mr. Barker, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, Ms. Cohen. And we have a roll call.
Mr. Malosky,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Malozzi,
Yes.
Mr. Burgos,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving to the second item on our agenda is a street vacation. The commission is considering a proposed street vacation, a petition submitted by George and Charlene Mowers for the partial vacation of 2nd Avenue. And my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Heller, Ms. Deschler, Attorney Deschler, is we're a recommending body to the city council on this issue.
That's
Right. Okay.
That's
So there'll be
yes.
no approval or denial here. It's just a recommendation. Understood. All right. Will the person presenting the petition for street vacation please introduce themselves?
Good afternoon. Michael Raschuti. I'm here on behalf of George and Charlene Mowers. George and Charlene are the owners of 312 Spring Street. It's the corner of 2nd Avenue and Spring Street. What they are seeking is to vacate a section of 2nd Avenue. This is remnant land from the Armory redevelopment project. When they vacated the northern section of 2nd Avenue from where they are, they left this little strip of land. It's about 108 or 107 feet, I think, or we're actually going to be vacating a little. They're going to be taking a little less, about 89 feet. And I think the width of it is 15 feet, I think, 16 feet, something like that around. And it's grass. It's not much. I think since the Armory project's been done, my client's been kind of caring for this, shoveling snow, cutting grass on there. And since the sidewalk essentially got moved out, their side yard got extended as a result of this. And it's still in the city owned right away. So they're looking to vacate it and into their favor since they're taking care of it. And from a city perspective, it, eliminates the need to send out someone to cut the grass, shovel the snow there. And we've worked with engineering and planning department on getting everything finalized here. There was a revision based on engineering's request. We did add an easement for the light poles, which runs the width or the length of the parcel. And we did, there's a little section at the top that is kind of being lopped off from what our original proposal was. I think it's about 8 feet or 10 feet of land that will go back to probably Perone Development, I'm guessing, or the city. Well, maybe the city will still own it, I guess, but Perone's going to maintain it. And that's just to make sure that the Mowers property lines are straight with what they're being vacated. That's it.
Thank you, Attorney Rashidi. I forgot to mention, Commissioner Cohen has notified the solicitor and also city staff that she'll be recusing herself from this issue. So we're aware of that. We still have a quorum, so we can continue. That's fine. All right. Any comment from city staff?
Well, I'm just gonna mention just the land use things. You can go into whatever you want to go into then. But as Attorney Rashidi noted, that it is a remnant piece from when the Armory project was developed. They took over some of the Second Avenue right-of-way, and as a part of that project, they rebuilt that right-of-way so that it's in keeping with the quarter width, et cetera, to the north. So it creates a better intersection there at Second and Prospect. The land, there was some question about whether or not that was buildable. It's not large enough to put a home on. They would need certainly zoning variances for that. And they have been mowing it and taking care of it since it's been created. And so really nothing changes out in the field. It's a matter of creating a scenario where our staff, our crews, et cetera, don't need to go out there and cut that grass. And this basically just cleans it up and clarifies it that it's not ours anymore. So we're actually fine with finding a way to get rid of that and have someone else take responsibility for maintaining it over time.
Thank you.
And like, to be clear, and I would pose this to Mr. Rashidi for the Mowers. You are okay with going back to the initial deed description that was attached to your petition presented to council in terms of the area of land that you're vacating, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We may have to amend the easement. And I think we'll have to talk about that afterwards, because I think the easement for the utility easement, you may have mentioned, but it only goes to what the new legal description is. It doesn't go all the way to the extra 8 feet. We'll have to talk about that if it's necessary.
Yeah, it sounds like engineering's fine with the utility easement because it's only located on kind of the smaller rectangle of land that's featured in, I guess, the plan that was presented today. For the benefit of the commission, the issue here is originally when the applicant presented their petition to city council to vacate the street, and you may have it in your materials, the rectangle was a little bit longer. It included that, we're talking about this like 8-foot span of land that actually goes past the northern end of the Mowers property. So in the new plan, I guess that was submitted today, that little sliver is lopped off so that the new area that's being vacated or proposed to be vacated is now flush with the Mowers property. However, we really can't have that done, because if we're just looking to vacate kind of the smaller rectangle, the city then remains stuck with that extra 8 feet. We have to vacate the entire length of what used to be the street, even the little portion that extends beyond the Mowers property. If we vacate the entire portion, the Mowers will absorb a good chunk of that. The Armory will also absorb that little 8-foot sliver to the north. But the whole thing needs to be vacated, otherwise the city is stuck with that 8-foot span, and we don't want that. So we can't, my recommendation is that we not recommend that council approve the new deed description that was submitted today. And it sounds like the applicant is okay with that.
We are fine.
But we're going to recommend approval of the initial deed description submitted with the petition to council. And also, I presume the applicant is also okay with, just to be clear, that because I know it's even the original properties or the legal description is titled deed description for lands to be transferred from the city of Bethlehem to Charlene and George Mowers. The Mowers understand that the city will not be executing a deed for their benefit, will simply be vacating the street. And by operation of law, they will take whatever they take, right?
Yes, we did. The engineer did that. I did not put that on there for them. So I understand it'll just be a vacation, correct?
Okay.
And the vacation will be recorded in the recorder of deeds. And I would just note also that Perone Armory did consent to this. It's attached to the petition. I think I failed to mention that.
They consented to the
Vacation.
to the vacation, and
Yeah.
and they're
They're
also
the, they're the
8 feet.
neighboring, yeah, they're the neighboring property, so they have to agree. Informally, I did mention to John Callahan from Perone about this 8-foot section, and he said he was fine with whatever. They were not, they have been very helpful in this, in fact, because they gave some maps to us when we were first investigating this and been very helpful. In fact, Panoni was their engineer, so we just used them for this since they had all the measurements.
Any further comments, Attorney Deschler?
No.
May
Yep.
I ask something?
Yes, Mr. Yandom.
They don't have problem with taking that 8 feet. I would suggest to vacate for Mr. Charlene and George Moyers, whatever the most updated section, just because the previous description needed some revision, right? And it was revised into this, which wasn't
Correct.
corrected 100%.
Yes.
So if we can keep the 8 feet for Perone or the Armory, and they take whatever, so we approve this final vacation right now.
And if
We
you
have it.
want, I think we could get the engineer to do a legal description for that northern section just by itself, so you can actually have 2 separate legal descriptions.
Well, I think, I mean, while that may be beneficial, I think we're vacating the whole thing. I don't want to do a vacation short of the 8 feet. So I'd like to vacate the whole thing.
So and as I understand it, this commission will make a recommendation for or against the entire vacation. How it is subdivided in the future can be taken up by council. Is that
But
fair?
it's not so much a subdivision. If we vacate what I'll call the longer rectangle, the city's out of it. By operation of law, the adjoining property owners will take certain sections of that. And it's not really the city's concern, but what will likely happen is the Mowers take kind of that lower rectangle, and the Armory takes that 8-foot section. Right. But we vacate the whole thing, even the 8-foot section. Yes.
That's what I
And if any legal descriptions need updating, Ms. Heller or someone from the city clerk can let me know and we'll get that done.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? And Mr. Malosky, are you getting all this?
Yes, I have no questions.
Okay. So as we understand it, it was, I guess, an island kind of inadvertently created between Perron Armory property that was dedicated from Second Avenue and the Mowers property. The city sees, well, the petition states there's no known public purpose. The city would be relieved of maintenance. There was no objections from the utility companies. PPL is going to relocate a pole.
No, PPL didn't have to. The only thing I think UGI, they had to, before I guess the road, they moved the gas main and it wasn't updated on the map, but we did get confirmation from Boyle Construction that was submitted to the engineering department that is not there anymore.
But no objections from the utilities?
No objection.
Okay.
And the PPNL pole that's there, it's gonna be removed. We called PPNL to remove it. It's no connection to it. It's a dead pole.
Great.
We tried to support with that. We asked them to remove it. Besides that, there's no issue with utilities.
Okay. Thank you. And the issue of the 3-foot easement, that would be memorialized appropriately. This moves forward.
It's an easement that was mentioned within the vacation.
Great.
And we did submit a revised easement agreement yesterday or the day before, I believe.
I think
So
we,
there's a
we have that.
legal description for the easement.
yes, the 297 feet and change, something like that. Okay. All right. Are there any interested parties from the public that would like to comment on this potential street vacation? No? Okay. Then to the commissioners, our job tonight is to either recommend or not this street vacation to city council. Do we have such a motion? So I'll make that motion actually to recommend to city council that they approve the vacation of a portion of Second Avenue as it was described in the May 24th, 2022. I'm sorry, the May 4th, 2022 petition. Make sure I got this right here.
Right, that was submitted to council.
Yes.
Okay. And are we saying that there are corrections that need to be made to that description as well? Okay, well, I guess
But that's the long one.
it is. I guess, so we're approving the long one with the appropriate corrections that need to be made now.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve the petition for that we recommend approval to city council of the street vacation as it's proposed in the May 4th petition with any revisions to any necessary revisions to the meets and bounds.
description.
Okay.
Second.
I second that.
Mr. Molosky, thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Malozzi,
Yes.
Mr. Burgos,
Yes.
Mr. Malosky,
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move to the next agenda item, which is land development plan reviews. And our first is 1010 Harvard Avenue, land development and subdivision plan.
There's no subdivision on there.
No. Just land development plan.
Thank you.
Say subdivision though.
Yes. Once you're prepared to begin, please state your names for the record.
Sure. My name's Andrew Bowl. I'm with Hanover Engineering. I'm the engineer of record for this project. Sitting adjacent to me is Matthew Campbell. He's with the applicant, which is triple net something. 60. So in front of you, you have a plan in front of you. I can just give you some highlights of the project. The project, like you guys stated, is at 1010 Harvard Avenue, and it has frontage on Harvard Avenue and Route 412. And it's adjacent to the UGI facility and the PennDOT detention basin that's just just north of the interchange of 78 and 412. The project received a special exception on March 23rd for the proposed warehouse distribution center that's being proposed. In front of you, what's being proposed is to construct a 53,700 square foot warehouse distribution center with 8 docks fronting or facing the southerly elevation. And then there's 2 drive-up ramps and also 63 parking spaces are proposed there. Also, we're proposing 2 driveways, one off Harvard Avenue and one off 412. And if you want to just make that smaller. So
He's working on it.
Oh, yeah. Anyhow, there's an existing access drive on 412 that was, the driveway was constructed during the 412 improvements. And what's being proposed tonight is to modify that slightly. And then the second driveway is on Harvard Avenue, which is to the east of the proposed building. The driveway that's on 412, that we've been in front of PennDOT with some scoping meetings. And in fact, we had a meeting, Zoom meeting on Monday with PennDOT and Pete Terry, your traffic consultant, and we're going to be modifying that driveway. That's not the final alignment, but it's going to be pretty close to what's shown on the plans today. Obviously, we know we need PennDOT's approval as well as the city's approvals. on that. The outside approvals, we received the Lehigh Valley Plan and approval back on April 13th. Also, we got the planning module approval on May 19th for the project. We're working on, we just resubmitted last week to the Conservation District for the minor amendment to the NPDF permit. So I would think that we should be getting that in the next few weeks, several weeks. So I am in receipt of the July 7th review letter, and I reviewed it with the applicant, and we really have no issues with any of the comments that are associated with this. So that's pretty much what I have to say. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Bowl. Well, we'll go to city staff for any comments.
Well, I'll just note, under traffic, Tiffany Wells was unable to be here today. The first comment says that they'll be joining a call with PennDOT. And when we sent this letter out, that was true. And Mr. Bold noted that call was on Monday. So one of the conditions that should be included, if you're inclined to move this along, is that the project would have to meet any requirements that come out of the PennDOT HOP. They'll be sending a letter on that. We haven't received that yet, so that's not in your packet. Other than that, we don't have a lot of comments. There's some additional landscaping and review that was requested in front of the retaining wall. I believe they're in agreement to do that. And there was some question about some of the sidewalks and how they're going to connect to the driveway revisions that they're making on 412. And I'm sure those will be taken care of as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there a note about a colored elevation near the retaining wall? Is that something we're going to review this evening? Or I know we have the other elevations of the building.
We have the building. We don't have the colored elevations of the retaining wall.
Okay. Has staff gotten that?
We have not. No.
Okay. You're comfortable with that being a condition, just to review that?
Yes, what we wanted to look at, what does that wall look like and what are the materials going to be? It's very visible when you come up north from on 412. And then what kind of landscaping would be included along with that wall?
And the applicant has no objections to providing something to the city for their review for that.
Thank you. All right. Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Malozzi,
Mr. Malosky.
Mr. Bull, did you say you were going to allow access off of 412 as well? Is that correct? Is that what I heard?
Yes, there's an existing driveway that we're modifying that opening to provide it.
Will that be allowed both north and southbound on 412, or only as you come off of 78 heading into the city?
Oh, it will be a right in and a right out only.
So if I'm coming from Bethlehem into Hellertown, I will not be able to access. I'd have to go Commerce Center Boulevard and drive and navigate that way, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
I believe, is there a concrete median there, the prohibiting
Correct.
left turns? So,
Correct. There
Yes,
is
I
a.
believe there is, yeah.
Okay. So
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Malosky. But that was something that jumped out, just traffic flow, because there's a small residential neighborhood next to. So access is right in, right out from 412, and then otherwise out Harvard Avenue, but there's no left to go into to possibly get onto Princeton Avenue and get down to 412 from there.
Well, you can do that, but most people will go make a right out of our driveway on Harvard Avenue and go up to Gilcrest and then traverse Gilcrest over to Commerce Center Boulevard, because the whole purpose, if you're leaving Harvard Avenue, that direction is 99% of the people will be going to 78, and you'll have to go to the Commerce Center Boulevard intersection to go south on 412.
It appears this city has specified some signage to that effect to direct the trucks away from the neighborhood,
Oh, certainly we could do that if that's necessary.
because nobody in Princeton wants someone from Harvard coming into their
No,
neighborhood.
I understand.
That's pretty good. I understand that.
All the Ivy League schools.
You know those Ivy League schools,
I was at one of the lesser ones.
the southernmost. And then, is there it's difficult to tell from the scale of plans that we review, but there'll be a pedestrian path continuing. I know there's quite a lot of sidewalk on Harvard now, but an uninterrupted pedestrian path, which will take people out towards Commerce Center, where there's two bus routes, two Lanta routes that run there. Is that correct? There'll be a
Yes,
link?
there's, our sidewalk is going to traverse all the way along our frontage, and our frontage abuts Gilcrest. So there's sidewalk on Gilcrest, and we'll be terminating at that intersection so they can walk across the street to access the sidewalk that's on Gilcrest.
Great. I know the service in there is primarily for employees that work in LVIP 7. So
Correct.
okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
I have one. My question is on with your storm sewer, what size is the gas main that's there now?
It's a 16-inch medium pressure gas main.
And I see it's pretty deep. How are you guys gonna, find out what your elevations are with that?
Oh, we already have them.
Oh, you have them?
Yeah,
already?
we already test pitted
Okay.
the gas main
Okay.
in about 6 spots.
Okay.
So
And
we're
you-
going to be crossing over or under it. I don't recall off the top of my head.
And you have proper clearance and all that?
Correct. We talked to UGI even before we started this project and got their parameters. And also we've added notes on the plans that they requested in the grading and utility notes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Cohen?
Regarding the two driveway access from the site, I assume that those will both have stop signs, but will they also have no through traffic signs?
We weren't thinking about that, but if that's something that you would like to see, I'm sure the applicant wouldn't have objections to that. I don't think people would be cutting through there because of the just the nature of the project. To cut through there, you're not going to be, for anybody that's on Gilcrest coming down Harvard Avenue, they're going generally to Princeton Avenue, or they're not going to, if you cut through here, you're going to just be able to go north on 412, which is the same direction that you would do getting out to Commerce Center Boulevard.
I think I'm mostly concerned about the entrance from 412 cutting through to get into the industrial park without going up to the light.
I mean, we could put that up there. I'm sure you have no objections to that.
to that.
Thank you.
Is that something the city would want to comment on?
After there's a meeting for the traffic, right?
Mhm.
So they can discuss that in traffic with this traffic.
Okay. We can note that as a suggestion for the city.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Ms. Cohen or Mr. Barker?
No.
No? Sorry. Burgos? Good.
I think you said that, just to be clear on the record, obviously you're okay with all of the comments in the July 7th letter, including, as I understand it, if we go forward with the no through traffic signs, and that includes the added comment about complying with all of PennDOT requirements, correct?
Correct.
I would presume so. Okay, that's all.
And is that number one in public works? I thought that captured the PennDOT, but does that need to be clarified on any motions this evening?
I think they've clarified it sufficiently. Obviously, Ms. Heller went through some of the additional requirements, and we want to kind of leave that open-ended because we don't really, PennDOT can speak for itself. So whatever PennDOT requires them to do, they have agreed to comply with.
We will not get a permit from PennDOT without making complying with all the requirements.
Yes. All right.
I guess this chiefly concerns widening the mouth of that driveway, right?
Yeah, we're investigating several options with that.
Any other
That's all I
questions? Okay. Just out of curiosity, I noticed on one of your plans, your limits of disturbance go all the way east along Harvard. Is there anything going there, or is it just like cut fill type?
Cut fill and also the sidewalk
Okay.
and some landscaping. But basically, it's going to be a lawn area at the end of the day.
So all the development is west of the driveway on Harvard. It's just staging and whatnot.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, if there are no further questions, I guess just to comment, we're running out of spots in LVIP 7, so it's great to see these being taken up here. And from what I understand locally, this size of a facility is something that's very hard to come by in the Lehigh Valley. You can get the 1 million square footer, but you can't get the 50,000 square footer. So
We're excited about that.
glad to hear it. Thank you. All right. At this point, any comments from the public, any interested parties online or in the room well, nobody online, but in the room that would like to comment on this project? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the land development subdivision at 1010 Harvard Avenue as stated in the July 7th memo. Obviously, the applicant compliant with all the findings that come up with the transportation study that will be incorporated with that as well.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Moloski and a second by Mr. Barker. That's my question was, Ms. Cohen, you had made a suggestion. Is that something that you wanted to remind the commission about to potentially include?
I think the client understands that it might be important to have a sign like that on their property. I don't need to add it to the motion.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? May we have a roll call, please?
You understand if we don't put it in the motion, it's not binding on them, right? Oh, okay.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Malozzi,
Yes.
Mr. Burgos,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes?
Mr. Malosky,
Yes,
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ball, I know you're staying seated. Still have some business with the commission this evening, do you?
Yes.
All right, so we will call the next agenda item, which is land development. No subdivision, correct? Just land development at 2680 Commerce Center Boulevard. And once the team is in place, please introduce yourself, state your name for the record.
My name's Andrew Bull from Hanover Engineering. I'm the engineer of record for this project, Lot 63.
Thank you, Mr. Bowl. Please proceed with presenting the project.
Certainly. As stated above, the project's located at 2680 Commerce Center Boulevard. It's adjacent to the Lehigh Valley Rail intermodal property and is located in an industrial district where the proposed use is permitted. The proposed use, it's proposed to construct a 136,000 square foot building from warehouse and manufacturing on the site. There's going to be proposed 8 docks and a drive-up door on the east side of the building, and there's 98 parking spaces for passenger vehicles proposed within the property as well. We're proposing 2 driveways onto Commerce Center Boulevard, and a rail spur is also proposed to provide materials for the applicant. Like earlier I said, the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission approval was secured on April 15th. We resubmitted to the Conservation District last week for the NPDS permit minor amendments, and On June 22nd, the City of Bethlehem Engineering Department forwarded the planning module to the DEP for their approval. So we're going to be waiting for those two items. I reviewed the review letter that came out on July 7th, and I really have no comments or issues with any of the comments that were forth in the engineers' comments and the general comments. So it's pretty much a 136,000 square foot warehouse building facility on the east side of Commerce Center Boulevard, right before you get into the Majestic property. And it's one of the last lots that are vacant in LVIP 7.
Thank you, Mr. Bowl. We'll go to city staff for any comments.
I would just say this maybe is one of the briefest comment letters you've ever received from us on a land development. Mostly it's fees. We have a couple of comments about some of the economic development programs that are eligible there. And we have a comment from Lanta about sidewalk connectivity and the bus stop located there, but it's really pretty straightforward. You also have a copy of their elevation drawings in your packet as well, if you're interested in that.
Is it Attorney Deschler's yellow Audi? Oh, vanity price.
I wish.
Oh, all right. Any comments from the commission? Any questions? No, none. I guess it is pretty straightforward then. And I was curious. So it does have the direct rail access coming in there right from the
Yes,
Mole Yard.
our client, that's one of the things that drew them to this property, because they have property they're leasing, I believe, in LVIP 7, and they actually have to truck the bulk material from the Lehigh Valley Rail Yard over to their facility. So this will eliminate some congestion for the city as well.
Great. And just out of curiosity, because this commission does comment on these economic development tools, do you know offhand if any of these will be pursued? If you're
I would assume so, but I cannot definitively
okay,
answer those questions.
good to know. Good to know that they're being used. Or
I would
being
assume they are,
considered.
because
Right.
I did talk to LVIP, and I know some of most of their applicants, I believe, utilize some of these grants.
The LERTA, I would imagine they would apply for, that's the 10-year tax break of local taxes. The enterprise zone tax credit benefit, they need to apply for through the state. And so I don't know whether or not they would apply for that, but that, there's limited funds for that. So not everybody gets that. They apply for that.
I'll make sure my clients are aware of those items and contact the city if they want to move forward with any of those.
Thank you. Great. That's what they're there for.
Mr. Bull, is your client, is this, I noticed on the rendering Axiom, is this a packaging, like a plastic packaging, or is it a software? What is
It's plastic bottles, I believe.
Okay, yep, I'm familiar. Thank you.
So the bulk material might be pellets, those kind of things.
Something like that, yes.
All right. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this application? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion on the application at 2680 Commerce Center Boulevard.
I'll make a motion to approve the land development plan at 2680 Commerce Center Boulevard with all the stipulations as listed in the July 7th review letter.
Thank you, Mr. Malosky. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any final discussion or questions? Okay. May we please have a roll call?
Mr. Burgos.
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Malosky.
Yes,
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Malosey.
Yes. All right, thank you, Mr. Bowl.
Thank you.
Best of luck to your client.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is any open discussion items and maybe just confirming the date of our next meeting.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that because we discussed it last time. The regularly scheduled meeting would fall during Music Fest, especially since there's plots right outside Town Hall here. We talked about moving that. So it seems like we have everyone available for the following Thursday, which would be the 18th. And so we would still have it in this room. We just move it back a week.
So it is the 18th.
Mhm.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
We haven't
that's fine.
advertised it because we just wanted to confirm, but
We go right to Music Fest.
you could. You could.
Or come straight in from Music Fest. I don't know if we want to be making decisions. Okay, any questions?
Ms. Heller, does that appear to be a pretty substantial agenda, or we're not certain yet?
It's always hard to tell this far out, but that's right. We have a sketch plan, and so that would definitely be on. That's Kelchner Road.
I'm looking at the summary
Right.
that Ms. Rosario emailed us, and there are several on there that expire, obviously,
In August.
August.
Yes.
One of which is the New Street proposal, which has there been any change with that yet or no?
Not at this time. There have been some additional discussions with the developer, but we have not seen a revised plan at this point.
Certainly, if there's going to be a substantial agenda, and obviously all of our agendas are very important, but if it's going to be a pretty full one, I have no problem moving it to the 18th. I'm fine with the 18th.
Okay.
I think everybody here is as well. No concerns. All right.
Okay,
So,
that sounds good. We'll firm that up then.
okay.
And we can send a calendar reminder.
Mhm.
So you have it on your calendars as well.
Is there anything from that summary page that you want to point out? Is there anything that needs to be, or any things that are up and coming? I know you mentioned Kelchner sketch plan, but
Yeah, we'll see these, and these two are coming off. So 1010 Harvard and 2680, you just acted on tonight. So those are actually coming off. There's really nothing that we added to this from between last month's meeting and this month's meeting. There are some that we are working on now where usually we do 2 letters before you see a project. So Wilma is reminding me that Blake Street and East 3rd Street and Spillman Drive, our office is now working on a second letter with reviewers. And so those could each be ready. I mean, we'll see how extensive those letters are, but those could each be ready for public review at that time. Some of these others, we're going to need to get additional extensions.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion items?
I would just say, I know you've seen this saldo a couple of times now. We were asked to include some additional things about design guidelines and things like that. With the shortage in staff that we've had, it's really been on the back burner for a little while. So we do want to get that back in front of you. It's something we do want to move forward with. There's been a lot of work put into that so far, so we want to wrap it up. But Once we get, I think, back up to full staff, we'll be looking to close that out. So it's probably going to still be a couple of months till we are ready to do that.
Thank you for the update.
Mhm.
Speaking of staff, do we want to address any staffing changes?
Sure. Well, I'll just, if you want me to say for the record, Craig Pfeiffer has joined us today. He's sort of manning the screen and updating the slides for anyone that's watching from the public. Craig's been our zoning officer for about 3 years, 3.5 years. And so he's going to be taking over the assistant planning director position. We've advertised for a new zoning officer. The time period for submission has not yet closed. So we have a little while till we know who's going to be filling that position. We hope to do that kind of quickly if we can, because we've been, short-staffed for at least a few months now. But Craig will be working with us on all of the plan reviews, and he'll be attending the planning commission meetings going forward. So he'll be one of your contact people, working with Wilma and myself.
Eventually taking a seat up here at the
Yes, we
holding
have
down
to
the
we have
other
to
end,
find someone
the
else
west
to.
end.
It's like the kids' table over there. I know I've had to do that one myself, but we'll have to find out a way that we can have Craig sit up here with us. Yeah.
All right, looking forward to it.
Welcome, Mr. Piper. We appreciate all your help and service.
All right, any other discussion items? Nope.
I just wanted to say that Mr. Malozzi makes better Ivy League jokes than Mr. Molaski does.
I don't know about that.
No, Mr. Molosky would never joke about
No.
University of Pennsylvania. He holds them in high regard.
That's right, Mr. Malozzi. They saved my life.
He's more dedicated alumnus than yourself, probably.
I'm sure.
All right, well, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Cohen? Come on, Mr. Barker, second.
Second.
All right, second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malosky.